When I was a kid, I was obsessed with skateboarding, and it makes sense. My adolescent and early teenage years coincided with skateboarding's highest peak in popularity.
Are you kidding me?
Basically, I got 2 minutes of footy, but I'm not using any of it because it's already been done in 411 issue number 52.
We have lost our minds.
Recently, I got the bug to go out and skate again, and it's unleashed a tidal wave of renewed obsession. I am not a good skater, and I have no style, but back then, all I could do was ollie. Now, in my 30s, I'm ollieing onto things, off of things, over things. I can fakie ollie, frontside 180, shove it, very slow fakie shove it, and I can even land some sloppy heel flips. Can't do those while moving yet, but it's all about progression. And it hasn't only been learning new tricks. I recently got a selfie with my favorite skateboarder of all time, Bucky Lasek, on the halfpipe. We also met multiple X Games gold medalist PLG and the legend himself, Tony Hawk. Shout out to the security guard for taking this blurry photo. The next step was to get out to California to scout out the locations from one of my favorite movies ever. I think it's the best skateboarding movie that has ever been made. Let's go.
We surf and we skate every day. We gotta do whatever we want.
You guys gotta think bigger, man. I wanna make money. I wanna get laid every night. I wanna do it all right now.
This is Skip Anglum and the Zephyr skateboard team. Here's our entry fees. Now, where's our trophies?
It's dirty, it's filthy, it's paradise.
Welcome back, moviegoers, to another edition of Going to the Movies. Today we're in San Pedro. We're also going to be up in Santa Monica and Venice Beach. A couple other spots for the locations from one of my favorite movies of all time. But not only one of my favorite movies, also my friend, Rob from Rob on Location. If you haven't checked out his Instagram account, his website, and his YouTube channel, you need to. I'm going to put the links down below. Rob, where are we standing right now?
So, from Lords of Dogtown, one of our favorite movies, this is the location of the original Zephyr Shop that they used in the movie.
That's right, but we're not going to stop here first. We are going to go inside there, but first we're going to the houses, because I like to do things in order.
First up is a quick stop at Stacy Peralta's house, and you don't see much of it in the movie. And for the most part, it's only in the opening credits, and you don't even get an establishing shot. So there's not a ton to show you here, but you do see a little bit of the front when Stacy climbs out of the window. I always thought this was a side window, but if you look closely at the screenshot, you can see the walkway and the driveway leading up to the neighbor's house. Unfortunately, you can hardly see that window anymore because of the trees and bushes in the way. When they filmed, it was just a regular front lawn, just grass, but around 2012 they added the fence and all the bricks and plants and everything. The shots were taken on the property, so I can't match them up exactly, but he climbs out of the window over there, then he comes around the right corner of the house to grab his bike. He then rides across the then clear lawn, and right here where the walkway meets the street is where Stacy rides off the curb. And this shot gives us the ability to match up the houses across the street, which are still pretty much unchanged.
I gotta hand it to the location scouts because we're still in San Pedro, but this alleyway does really kind of look like Venice. Of course, they touched it up with the graffiti and all that to make it look very accurate, but I think the coolest thing that was filmed here is that stunt. And I can't remember who the stunt double was, but he rides off the roof onto that awning, down onto the ground with a surfboard in his arm and no shoes on an old school banana board. I mean, that was insane. And so he does that twice in the movie. So I'm going to show you all three of those. Unfortunately, a lot of what we see is the back of the house and the inside of the house, which we don't have access to, but I'm going to fly up and see if we can point some stuff out. So let's go ahead and do that now.
It's a little confusing because the front of the building faces the alley behind the whole lot. So when I say front, I'm referring to the side with the garages. But this aerial view is great because it shows you the whole building, and you can see the stairs in the back. There's two of them leading up either side, and that's visible in the scene where all the Z-Boys ride up to Jay's house, and they find his stepdad moving out because he's leaving Jay's mom. You get this great view of the gap between the porch and the garage next to it. This is the gap Jay jumps to right off the roof in the double matchup I just showed you. Another cool thing about this location is that they did use the interior for filming, and it's easy to figure out the living room because it's got this long window with 2 square windows on either side. There's only one of those on the building, and using that, we can figure out that these 2 windows are part of the bedroom. This is where Jay confronts his stepdad. And in this shot, you can also see the little added-on section of the house, which looks like it was used as some sort of greenhouse. You could probably guess what they were growing.
Hey, man, cover that up, you know? Oops, yeah, sorry about that.
All right, and right here is Tony Alva's house in the movie. You remember right in the beginning? He comes out, his dad stops him and says, "You're going to school, right?" But he's actually going to surf.
You're going to school today, right, Tony?
Don't worry about it, Dad. I'm just gonna get wet.
I don't want my son to be a ditch digger.
This is where Tony's sister, she wants to make out with Stacy, but he's uncomfortable with that because Jay and Tony are up on the porch just above them. So he leaves, she's still down there, and Jay comes and dances around her to the tune of Jimi Hendrix's "Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire." They kind of do a little dance around the tree, and then they end up inside of the house somewhere. Don't know which room it was, but my guess would be that they actually did film it in here. So far from all of the houses in the intro, but made to look close, is this alleyway, which is called Speedway, and it's between Dudley Court and Dudley Avenue. This is where Jay skates down to the beach. You'll recognize this corner as he comes around here. There was a car parked here. He jumped on top of it and rode down it, making whoever lived in this building in the movie very angry, because that would have been their car. And then he continues to skate down this alleyway, and there's some more stuff to show you down there, so let's go look at that. So this building with the 16 on it, that is where he jumps on the car and rolls off of it, and then it continues this way. We're looking back in that direction. You see Jay skate up from here, he crosses the alley, jumps off this ramp over a dumpster that was in the exact same spot as that one right there. There was a guy sleeping on it. He jumps over that guy, and then he continues down the alleyway towards the beach.
Welcome to Imperial Beach, the last beach before you get to Mexico, and the location of the pier used for Pacific Ocean Park Pier in the movie. The real Pacific Ocean Park was a 28-acre amusement park located on a pier in Santa Monica, but by 1967 the park had closed down and the pier sat abandoned for almost 10 years until it was finally demolished. During those years that it was left abandoned, it became a favorite surf spot for the Z-Boys. The Imperial Beach Pier looks nothing like that, or as it did in the movie, because the filmmakers actually used a combination of the pier, CGI, and a section of Venice Beach to recreate POP. In fact, they even bought a Ferris wheel off of eBay to help complete the look. Now I've got 2 things to point out here, and the first is these walls which line the stairs down to the beach from the boardwalk area. They're briefly visible behind Skip and the others when they're surfing towards the beginning of the movie, and it's kind of a blink and you'll miss it, so I'll pause it here so you can check that out. And secondly, I was really excited to get this matchup, but I found out later that I was completely in the wrong spot. In reality, this shot was not done at Imperial Beach, but it was shot in Venice Beach with a ton of CGI additions. I know that because there's a book called Behind the Scenes Lords of Dogtown, which shows a CGI before and after of this shot, which I didn't see until after my trip. In the before image, you can clearly see there is no pier, and that ridgeline matches what's in Venice Beach. Shout out to Rob on location for letting me know about the existence of this book, because I never would have known, and now I wish I could go back to Venice and find that exact part of the sidewalk. Okay, now it's time to head back to the Zephyr Shop, and we're going to approach from the same direction as Stacy, Tony, and Jay. They head to the shop by skitching on the back of a bus, and this was filmed heading south down Bandini Street, starting from just before Summerlin Avenue. So I'm going to drive that same direction, and we'll stop and go as we see some familiar buildings. First up here on the right side of the frame is a building with a couple of arch shapes in the wall. That's an apartment building. Then to try and get the guys off the bus driver swerves to the left, and you can see in the distance another apartment that's identifiable by its clay-tiled awnings over the doors and windows. Again, this is the Bandini-Summerlin intersection. Next up, you're going to see a bigger apartment building on the left side. Then the bus swerves back to the right, and we see a tree and a short red wall. The The tree's not there anymore, but the wall remains and it's still the same color. This is the intersection where they release from the bus, and it's at Oliver Street. And this is where we see the clearest shot of any building in the sequence, which is Bandini Street Elementary School. It's right here in front of the school where they fly between the rows of parked cars, and then it's to the Zephyr Shop, and unlike many other movies that use the magic of editing to make things look closer or farther apart, the building that portrays the Zephyr Shop is actually in this direction, and it's only about a block and a half away, so let's head over there. The building used in the movie is now a church, and it's been remodeled quite a bit. Rob was able to get in touch with the people that run the church, and they were kind enough to give us the chance to see the inside and behind the building, both of which are very different now. It's still worth taking a look at though, so let's break it down.
Anyone who's seen the movie probably remembers the scene where they skate by. There's an old man sitting here, Jay steals his hat. And then they go into Zephyr Shop. So you see the entryway into the shop right there where Rob's standing. That means all of the Z-Boys, when they first picked the team, initially without Stacy, only in the fictional version by the way, that was right here.
It's kind of hard to picture it in your head now, but this wall to my left was not here. However, there was a wall to the right of where I was standing. So this is what it looks like now when you're standing in the workshop area facing where the lockers were. This is where they shaped the surfboards and molded the skateboards. Also where Sid and Thunder Monkey get together during the party scene later in the movie. The old wall that's gone separated the workshop from the sales floor, and we could see Skip walk through the opening in that wall. Here's what this view looks like now. In the back half of the movie, Skip talks with Stacy, and the camera faces the back wall from the counter. There is a thread of the past here. You can see the cinder block wall in the background, but that's pretty much it. This angle of the shop is shown during the party. Through the opening in the old wall, you could see the garage door in the back, and that's still there, but you can't see it anymore because of the new wall. So I'll go ahead and head around through this door and show you how it looks now compared with the scene when Skip's employees left during their shift.
They want to go surfing because that was the deal. Because we can surf whenever we want, work whenever we want. And so they go through this garage door, and I think this might be the only thing that I can still match up from the inside is that you do see this chain here hanging. Of course, it could have been replaced. All chains pretty much look the same. But he goes through here and the van drives off. That guy says, "That was the deal, bro." And I want to show you through these gates, which weren't here at the time, but you can see those roofs of those houses. There's a fence behind me, so I can't match this up perfectly. I'm a little too close, but it's pretty close, where Sofia Vergara hits on Jay. So many random people in this movie. I mean, you got Heath Ledger with an awesome performance. But you got randomly Mitch Hedberg showing up. Jeremy Renner's in this movie. And that's not even including all the skateboarder cameos.
I've been mentioning the party scene, and they were celebrating because they were blowing up. They were in Skateboarder magazine. They were starting to get offers for more money and better sponsorships. And that kind of causes Skip to go into a bit of a drunken meltdown. So he grabs a bunch of his surfboards, goes up to the roof and starts chucking them off. Apparently, Heath Ledger laying on the edge of the roof was not planned. According to director Catherine Hardwick, it was an acting choice he decided to do on the spot. And all the filmmakers were just down on the ground hoping he wasn't about to fall.
You're supposed to keep him out of trouble, man.
Who's got good karma? That is what Skip asks at the beginning of this scene, and I'll tell you who does is this school, because they let us back here, even though you can see it is fenced very high all the way around. But we buzzed the office and they said we could come back here because there's no students back here right now. This is where they test out the urethane wheels. As soon as Mitch Hedberg, the Mitch Hedberg, delivers the urethane wheels, they put them on Tony's board and they come out and they test it out on all these banks, and you can see they've added planters here in the corner, which is kind of a bummer because you can't match that awesome corner shot up anymore.
And even though the shot isn't quite as satisfying with the trees in the way, there's still plenty of cool matchups to do here. As explained in the documentary Dogtown and Z-Boys, there were a handful of schools in the area that were built at the bottoms of canyons, and they needed big flat areas for playgrounds, so they'd lower the ground a bit, which resulted in these banks around the edges like the ones you see here. In fact, this location is very cool because Mar Vista is one of the schools where the actual Z-Boys would skate. So not only were we getting to stand amongst movie history, but skateboarding history as well.
Yeah, Mar Vista, not so skater friendly these days. Tall fences, planters, and skate stoppers. That can't be comfortable to sit on during lunch. Now here's an interesting location. This is the skate ditch. And this is actually in Chula Vista, and the reason it's interesting is because the scene was actually supposed to take place at the pier, but the water in Imperial Beach was contaminated, so this was their backup plan. They made it a skateboarding scene when Craig Stesick and Skip Engblom and the rest of the Zephyr employees decided to start a skate team. Lance Mountain was here on set this day because he was the one follow filming as they were going up and down those banks. Lance Mountain, if you don't know, is a legendary Bones Brigade skater. And they were sitting right over there in front of the power line stand. This is all fenced in right now, and it's all painted white. In the movie, there was a lot of graffiti. They had to add Venice style graffiti to it to make sure it looked like it was in the right place.
This spot is my sole contribution in tracking down the filming locations from the movie. I dug up a local publication from around the time of filming that talked about them going to shoot this scene, and luckily they mentioned exactly where it was. The hard work in finding almost every other spot must be credited to Rob on location, who you met earlier, and a fantastic Instagram follow called OBLIVION. He's got a great website as well, and he helped me and Rob with all the pool locations you're going to see in a bit. I also have to mention Erin from ERIN'S Nerd Stuff on Instagram, who found one of the most elusive spots out of all of them. Please go follow their accounts because none of the locations from Lords of Dogtown were easy to find. A lot of these spots were found by hours of combing through Google Street View and tons of research. This video would not have been possible without their dedication, and I greatly appreciate them for allowing me to present the locations to you here in video form. All of their links are in the description below. The final skate sequence I want to show you is the alley. They've just started the Zephyr skate team, and now they're all riding their boards through here, having a good time. And part of this alley runs behind the location used for Tony's house, so that's a good way to find it. I really wanted to recreate this whole thing shot for shot, and it isn't perfect, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's all right. Talk about Dogtown. Now I'm walking around down here in Santa Monica. We're right on the beach, and this road here behind me is Bicknell, which is a real-life location and a movie location because you see Jay Adams skate down this hill. In fact, one of the most famous skateboarding pictures of all time was taken on this hill, and it's right down from where the original Zephyr Surf Shop was. So the guys would come down, skate down this hill just like it was a wave on their skateboards. Right here is where Stacy and Tony's sister were parked. Jay comes and tells me he's not made the Zephyr team. Stacy's very disappointed, and they walk from a car that's parked here to a car that's parked right over here to a few things in the background you can match up, like the lead here, the lamppost, and that building. I know I said earlier I like to do everything in order, but if I don't start grouping spots together, this video is going to end up longer than the movie itself. So right now we're going to visit both the restaurants from the movie, and we're going to start with the one that Stacy worked at. In real life, it's a seafood place in Santa Monica that's supposedly where celebrities like to hang out, and it's called Chez J. In the movie, it's standing in for the Venice Noodle Company, which is where the real Stacy Peralta worked as a kid. Inside, you can see they didn't really change much for the movie. It looks 70s enough, I suppose, and it hasn't had any major changes since they filmed back around 2004. To the interior, that is.
So this is the back of Chez J, Stacy's restaurant that he works at, where he was practicing skateboarding. And I'm gonna be honest, this one's kind of stumping me because they've turned it into this back patio area. If this is the spot, they've changed a lot here. These doors were not there, but I have reason to believe this is not it because look at all this grass. I don't feel like, I feel like it was right off the street or an alley or something. And I'm in a park, which is weird. And these lights, so this one's a little bit farther in from the right, and this one's like right on the left, matches. I don't know.
Rob and I were having a hard time finding anything that matched the shot from the movie, so sometimes you just gotta go back home and check Google Earth. I found out that the park I was standing in wasn't even there at the time. In fact, there was a huge building behind the camera when they shot the movie, but it looks like that got torn down around the time the movie was released. By 2009, it was a giant parking lot, and then a giant park a few years later. The current back area of the restaurant looks to have been added onto the building, so that could be covering up the original back that was visible in Lords of Dogtown. I don't want to say definitively that this is the spot without being able to match up anything, but I think it's probably safe to assume it was done here.
So right here is Ray's Restaurant in Santa Monica, and this is the diner that they're eating at when Stacy finally makes the Zephyr team. He's a Z-boy officially. He's always been one of them, really. That didn't actually happen in real life. Stacy was always on the team, but to add some dramatic effect to the plot, they made it to where he didn't originally make the team, and then he gets his shirt back in this corner of Ray's.
Hey, it's a family restaurant!
Starting off with the competitions, we're going to do the Del Mar competition first because that's the first one that showed up in the movie. This is where the Z-Boys were introduced to the world, and it's actually a combination of two church parking lots up in Altadena. So this is I believe it's the Methodist church, and then next door is the Catholic church where all of the competition stuff was set up, the slalom and everything like that. But this curve right here, you will recognize if you remember the shot of Tony Alva getting out of the car, running into the other car, and they're singing Hair of the Dog. Awesome scene, driving into this lot. You see that wall there on the left side.
And then we cut over to the Catholic church, where if you look closely, everything was dressed up to look like a horse racing complex in Del Mar, which is where the contest happened in real life. Right here is where we get the famous line from Skip.
Here's our entry fees. Now, where's our trophies?
In the movie shot, you can see the slalom in the background to the left. That's original Z-Boy Jim Muir playing the security guard. And then you see a little archway on the right side of the screen. And on the other side of that, we got a cool shot of all the skaters heading in. All right, let's get the bird's eye view. The parking lot where they arrive is across the street, but you can't see it in this shot. So look at the top center of the screen. This is the pathway I just showed you. The downhill slalom was located right here, taking up about 2/3 of the parking lot. In the space left, they placed the freestyle area. And right here is the stand where the trophies were. Let's head back down there.
So right here gives you a little bit of a glimpse of what you can see in the background when the freestyle skaters, the kooks, as the Z-Boys would call them, were still competing. This building here to the left is visible, as well as the church tower. And what's really cool is those two trees to the right of it, still matching up the short one and the tall one.
You don't get a full clear shot of this thing in the movie, but it's where they did the trophy ceremony after the contest. Stacy and Tony tied for first, but they tried to disqualify Stacy for touching the ground, even though everyone else did. Tony stood up for him, then the judge made a really rude remark to Tony, so he punched the judge and he got himself disqualified. In reality, this contest was kind of an introduction to the skateboarding world of the grungy, low surf style of skating that the Z-Boys are famous for. As with anything new, there was an aversion to it, so the only Z-Boy to actually win an event at the 1975 Del Mar Nationals was the only girl, Peggy Oki, who won the women's freestyle, though several of them did make the podium across all the events. The last matchup we wanted to get was this shot of the team watching Tony skate his run from the edge of the freestyle platform. We were struggling to find it because the trees have grown out more, but Rob noticed the two poles in the background of the image. So you've got this gray thing, the wooden pole, and then the light pole. Good eye from Rob on that one. This screenshot kind of reminds me of the famous team photo of the real Z-Boys, which was taken at the 75 Del Mar contest. Shout out to ERIN'S Nerd Stuff. This is the location we were all having trouble with, and she was able to track it down. Definitely did not want to do a video without this spot included. Welcome to Fisherman's Village, located in Marina del Rey. This area served as the location for the Oceanfront Skate Festival, which was actually, I think, a demo, not a contest, but all the teams were there, so it's close enough. Right where I'm pointing is about where Skip parked, and then he walks from right to left with a bunch of cuts in between. There's some slight changes that have been made to the storefronts in the background, but most of it is similar, if not exactly as it was. As he walks, the other team managers try and talk to him, and he has a brief conversation with Larry Gordon from the G&S team, and then he heads into the demo area, so let's do the same. A few things you'll notice when you walk in here: the light fixtures are still the same. If you take a look at the lighthouse, the stairs that used to spiral around it are long gone, and yes, this is the banana stand location from Arrested Development. There's a fountain here in the bottom right, and you can see that in this overhead shot, which gives a good view of the layout of the whole demo. But I think the most interesting thing in the area is this same boat is docked in the background 20 years later. So I'll show you the matchup here where Tony's standing up there right before he jumps down the ramp here. But I wanted to tell you this story. He was being played by the stunt double when he jumps off, obviously, and he goes in this direction, and there's a crowd of people, and then the guy who plays Tony Alva comes running back in this direction. And when he came running back, according to the commentary on the Blu-ray and DVD, he actually knocked the stunt double in the head with the skateboard. A lot of injuries on this movie. It's right around here where the guy from G&S is talking to Tony about trying to get him on the team before he tries, and says the exact same thing to all the other skaters from the Zephyr Shop. And there's a boat in the way, but that building that's right behind the G&S team guy is right there, the blue and white one. That's the colors it is now. It was different back then, but that's what you see behind him. This is Long Beach Arena. There's an event going on in there, so I couldn't get in. I asked to. As awkward as it would have been, it's a women's health expo. I was asking to take pictures, but it's actually a private expo, so they didn't want me going in there. So I'll just get some shots of the outside here, show you what it looks like. This wasn't shown in the movie from the outside, but I'll show you some pictures of what it looks like today, and you'll remember it from the World Professional Skateboarding Championship. So when you're doing some location hunting, sometimes there's a whole group of locations you can't find, but if you just get that one spot, you find all the other ones. And what I'm talking about right now is the pool sequence. So we're right at the house, at the first pool that they skate. It was a girl that they met at the Del Mar competition. I guess she invited them to come skate the pool. All the pools were empty because there was a drought at the time. And as soon as we found this location, which by the way, I gotta hand it to Film OBLIVION, he found this house. Rob looked at some more pools in the area, and it kind of unlocked everything. Found 4 pools from the section, so we're gonna go through them all now.
This wave breaks 24 hours a day, every day. And you know what, bros? We're gonna be the first to ride it.
This is the aerial view of the house you were just looking at, and while we were here, the owner pulled up. We told her what we were doing, and it was very tempting to ask if we could see the pool in the backyard, but Rob and I both sensed she was a little sketched out, so we didn't ask. We settled with the drone footage, but it's still amazing to be able to get a glimpse of this pool from up here because this is one of my favorite scenes. Like I mentioned, there was a drought that caused all the pools in the area to remain empty. You combine that with some opportunistic skaters, and you've got the birth of vert skating. The way the movie portrays this is very fun, and it kicks off the pool montage. The second pool we found is just a few houses down, but on the opposite side of the street. You can see the long section of stairs leading from the house to the pool, along with that rock wall to the right of the stairs. What's really crazy though is the uniquely shaped potted plant still in the exact same spot. Next pool is right next door, and Sid spots this one with the binoculars, so they all run over there. I talked about injuries that happened during the making of the movie. Look closely as this guy tries to carve around the water. When he falls, the board keeps going around and it nails Shogo, played by the Nuge Don Nguyen, right in the ankle. Alright, our fourth and final pool is just a little bit further down the road, and here the cops show up and all the kids start running in all different directions. You do see the front of this house because they push the cop over as they make their escape. Now check out the rest of these side-by-side comparisons. If you're wondering where the pool known as the Dog Bowl is, we're still wondering the same thing. We know it was destroyed right after filming, but we still like to know where things were. But the most I could find out is that it was one of the producers' houses. They allowed them to build it in their backyard in Pasadena, as long as they removed it after filming to put in a rectangular pool. I asked Tony Alva on Instagram where it was because he was the stunt double for the guy playing him in the movie for this scene, and he did get back to me, but he pretty much just told me what we already knew. So it sucks we couldn't find the location of the best pool in the movie, but it seems appropriate as the location of the real dog bowl was a secret for decades before it was destroyed in 2002. For the montage showing Tony and Stacy's growing success, I got to sit back and relax a little bit. Several shots from this sequence were done at studios, so I just got to hop on the golf cart and enjoy the ride. But there was some business to take care of. So first stop is at Warner Brothers, where we see Stacy filming a cameo in Charlie's Angels, as the real Stacy Peralta cameos as the director. The steps you see lead up to the building that was Gotham City Police Headquarters in the Adam West Batman series. And way back there behind that tree is the last remaining set from Casablanca. This next spot is also on the Warner lot. It's supposed to be London in the movie, and it includes a Lance Mountain cameo as the cop. It's on the backside of New York Street, and you're not going to miss it because it's right across from the current location of the Friends Fountain that the tour is so proud of. It's also right next to the other spot that I just showed you. Here's a clip from a previous tour I took back when they allowed video. The Charlie's Angels shot was done right there, and the London shot here. This shot was also taken in this little area of the back lot, and that's the Batman police station back there in the corner. Next up, we're heading to Sony Picture Studios for the shot of Stacy meeting the astronauts, Tony Hawk getting the cameo in this one. That's the Thalberg building in the background, which you'll definitely see if you take Sony's very underrated studio tour. But they are pretty small at this point. They don't really have a back lot, so you won't miss this spot if you visit.
Right here in Venice is where the famous, at least famous to me, iconic to me, the patty slap happened, where Skip takes a burger patty and slaps Tony right in the face with it. That was here, this little restaurant area in Venice, right off the beach. Skip pulls up right here and then walks across here, gets mad at the guys for not spending a lot of time doing contests and practicing because they've been skating a lot of bowls. But it was the second column, so there is a light pole, a column, and then one more. And there was a table set up right here, and that's where Stacy, Jay, and Tony were sitting just before the slap heard around the world. At Santa Monica, just by the pier, which is right down there, is that little scene where Jay yells from the car at the old ladies. He says, "Love some of the vintage tale" to the old woman, and I'm censoring him there because my mom watches these videos, all right? So come on, guys. But the MPAA also didn't like what he originally said. I'll not censor this one, but he said he loves the gray beaver, and she's very insulted, and that was right in front of that building. Camera obscura. And so the two old ladies were standing right by this light post. Everything blurred in the background, so this lens isn't going to show you the angle properly, but they were right about here on the sidewalk. You can actually see that blue building with the yellow roof and part of this. It's kind of washed out from the overexposure in the background, but you can tell what it is.
Next up for our quick stops is the gas station. It's now a barbecue restaurant, but it remained exactly as it appeared in the movie until at least 2019. Even part of the paint on the window that said Seal Beach was still on there, but now it looks a little different. Jay knows all the gas station tricks in this scene, and I guess on those older gas pumps there was a way to cheat it, and he was somehow making the price lower. He also does that walking nachos thing where you pump nacho cheese into your bag of Doritos. Right in the doorway here, Stacy and Skip have a conversation, and then the camera turns and you see Jay now on top of an ice machine. He jumps off onto the nacho concoction he's made, which explodes all over someone's car, and then they get chased off. When that happens, you see this building in the background. There's also some more Emil Hirsch ADR here, as he calls the car owner a knob-rocking butt clown.
Not even a block away from the Zephyr skate shop from the movie is this little area where you see Topper and Tony trying to convince Jay to join them, and you see that wall right behind Jay. So Jay stops right about here in front of this apartment building. You can see all the rocks still matching up, except for one part, that one in the bottom right. That wall wasn't there, that planter. But look to the left of the window, those rocks match, as well as everything else. Look at that curve right there. Skaters, what could you do with this? I know Jay Adams would tear it up. But we're talking about Tony right now because we're at Tony's second house in the movie. This shows up way later. He's with Johnny Knoxville in front of here. It's his new house. What can you tell us about this, Rob?
Well, without any explanation, later in the movie, Tony just shows up living in a new house. Maybe he made enough money from skating to afford a better house for his family. We don't really know.
But it's not that much better of a house than the one he was in.
He shared a room with his sister in the other house.
Yeah, that's got to be terrible.
Maybe this is an upgrade in that sense.
Right around the back of this car is where Tony was getting back on his board, trying to recover from his injury. And we get this shot where you can see these buildings in the background, that blue building with the garage door, which was white with blue trim at the time. And then the building to the right, which still looks exactly the same. Look at that market sign. Faded now, but the same one. So towards the end of the film, Stacy drives up with his girlfriend. They want to come and look at the moon over the beach. They park right about here. We are in Venice again. You can see that lifeguard stand still about in the same area. I don't know if they moved those things or changed them out or what, but it certainly looks like the same one from the movie. This was a Film Oblivion find, and what's crazy about this location, that back there, you can see the corner of this pink building. That alleyway up there is the alley from the beginning where Jay skates down when he goes down on the car and jumps over the guy at the dumpster. Some guys come up, they're looking a little shady. Stacy and his girlfriend run down to their car here. The guy starts to threaten him, and then it turns out these are the guys that Jay's been rolling with, so he hops out of the car and he saves Stacy next to his car right about here. And you can see that building in the background, as well as this building, and these green things here with the benches. That was kind of how we found the spot, pinpointed everything. We're gonna end it today at the original Zephyr Surf Shop. I'm gonna go in, get some coffee, get some food, because it is now Dogtown Coffee. Keeping the history and the legends alive, you can see a bunch of Dogtown memorabilia up in there, some articles on the wall. You got a huge mural in the back of Jay Adams skating the dog bowl, and they got some really good food. That's like the best tempeh wrap I have ever had in my life. Definitely recommend checking it out if you're in Santa Monica. Thank you guys for watching another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And a huge thank you to Rob on Location and Film Oblivion. Again, links down below for those guys. They were a huge help in finding all the spots from one of my favorite movies of all time. All right, guys, that'll do it for today. We'll see you in the next one.
Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy, Jordan Saunders, the Messiah, yeah. Also known as Jesus Christ. Coming for your supply, yeah. Coming for all the gold. Man, I got it sold. Real on it, you can tell by the code. Covenant booming, you know that I'm soaring. Spaceships coming, so you know that I'm alien. Can you understand what I'm saying? Coming off the coast, so you know that I'm player. 4E, E4O, cigarettes smoking, so you know I'm about to blow. Thank you.